Hi, today is January 8th, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 42, Tongue Twister, Seashells. There's a famous tongue twister. She sells seashells by the seashore, but I was trying to locate a song I remember from when I was young that goes like this. She sells seashells by the seashore. Some are red, while others are blue. She sells seashells by the seashore. Isn't that a silly thing to do? I couldn't locate the song, but I think the implication of the original tongue twister is the same, that it is strange to sell seashells by the seashore. But I was thinking yesterday that it makes perfect sense to sell seashells by the seashore. They are right there. It's totally easy to collect them and then display them. And if you want to, you can paint some of them red and others blue. I don't think that's silly. I think it might be silly to buy seashells by the seashore, but not to sell them. If you can get people to buy seashells by the seashore, this could be a really good business for you. So have at it. More power to you. Live long and prosper and all that. Poem number 43, Anagram, Imagine Dragons. This morning I saw an ad that informed me that Imagine Dragons are playing in Florida in March. I don't often think about Imagine Dragons. I don't often imagine dragons either. I wondered whether the band's name is an instruction or whether Imagine is a type of dragon, so I looked it up and all I found was the story that Imagine Dragons is an anagram, but that Imagine Dragons wouldn't say what Imagine Dragons is an anagram for. I saw that some have speculated that Imagine Dragons is an anagram for ragged insomnia. My opinion about this is I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about anything having to do with Imagine Dragons. But here's a haiku. Imagine Dragons with ragged insomnia. I don't give a shit. Poem number 44, acronym ACP. He found that his lips were thirsting for her again. He longed to place his head once more between her legs and softly whisper her name over and over, then gently blow on it, as if it were a candle flame that he was trying to make dance to the quiet, irregular rhythm of his breath without going out. But the flame had gone out. The light had been extinguished. She was gone and far away. His lips thirsted for her, and he whispered her name, but she felt nothing. Note, ACP is an acronym for another cunnilingus poem. Poem number 45, Palindrome Bolton. People really enjoy all the various epithets that John Cleese uses to describe the inanimate quality of the dead parrot in the Dead Parrot sketch, but the entire sketch is absolutely brilliant. The first great line, in my opinion, is, "I'm sorry, I have a cold." And the two best lines come toward the very end. My second favorite line in the Dead Parrot sketch is, "The palindrome of Bolton would be Notlob." But just as it wasn't easy to stretch those programs out to 30 minutes, it's not always easy to stretch my ideas out to 7 poems on the weekend, so I will tell you my favorite line from the Dead Parrot sketch in the next poem. Poem number 46, Pun, Ipswich. My favorite line in the Dead Parrot sketch comes after John Cleese complains to Michael Palin, "You told me this was Ipswich." Palin replies, "It was a pun." I can't really explain why that line is my favorite, but it is. And look, before you start going off on me about how this didn't have to be a separate poem, let me point out that the Imagine Dragons haiku could have been its own poem, but no, I kept it in the anagram Imagine Dragons poem as a little bonus for you. So don't come around here complaining to me about padding out the poems. You got 2 for the price of 1 with poem number 43, so just back the fuck off, okay? And also let me point out that the price of 1 is nothing, and therefore the price of 2 is nothing, and for that matter, the price of all of today's 7 poems is nothing unless you bought these poems in a Kindle book, but you couldn't have done that today because today is January 8th, and the Kindle book that will include this poem won't come out until January 31st at the earliest. And don't try to tell me it was a pun or a palindrome, because it wasn't. No, I'm sorry. I'm not prepared to pursue my line of inquiry any further, as I think this is getting too silly. Right, so I shall get on with it. Get on with it. Poem number 47, Pig Latin, haiku. Aye inkte, igpe atenle, isye, indike umde. And the last one, poem number 48, acrostic, what I do. I let out vain entreaties, yes, only useless sounds of music uttered, chiming hopelessly. Thanks again for watching, listening. I appreciate it more than you can know.